Yo, what's shaking, fellas? It's your boy Nerf. I'm back with another video. This time I went kind of like a different route. I decided to make like I really didn't decide. I was just making a beat last night and came up with like this happy melody, like Kyle, Lil Yachty, the iSPY with my little eye type of feel, just a jolly beat. I actually kind of like the way this sounds. It's kind of weird, and I usually don't make crazy happy beats. So yeah, it was kind of a shock the way it came out, and yeah. So that's about it. So I'm gonna give you guys a preview, a quick little 45-second preview of the song, and I'll break down on how I made this beat. So let's get started. Alright, so there's the beat. I know I said 45 seconds. I know I went a little bit more, but yeah, so that's the beat. And let's get started on how I made the beat. So first, let's go with the first sound I did was Dune. And the reason why you see, Dune pretty much now is because I actually purchased it the other day. So I wanted to give this BSC a shot. I heard a lot of good reviews about it, and it's pretty cheap, so yeah. So the first sound I used was this. Let's go to the whole pattern. So the first sound I used was Magic ARP. It's a factory preset. I went to a factory ARP, and it's a factory. So yeah, so Magic Harp, and this is the way it sounds. Let me take off the effects because I put a growth speed on it, half speed, and some gate. So the way it sounds dry, this is the way it sounds like. Yeah, not too pleasant. And also the way I came up with this melody is it's in the C major scale, so that's why it's a happy vibe. But excuse me. So what I did was I just played some chords, put on a grand piano, the grand piano and Dune, and I liked the way the melody was going, and then I just decided to mess around with the ARP, and came across this, and I half speeded the ARP just to see how it sounded, and I added a gate. So this is how it sounds like with the half speed and the gate. So it gives that weird feel right there, and that's not even the happy jolly ARP. And then I added an EQ. EQ'd, most of the lows, get rid of the whole reverb aspect, and I just wanted to keep more of the high mid presence, and this is the way it sounds. So I came up with that ambient sound. Then I opened another Dune, another factory ARP, and it's called Tension KS. And yeah, so this is the way this sounds like. It's just I just copy and paste the same melody, and I had a whole bunch of effects, but this is with it dry. Very techno, very house type of feel. So first I EQ'd, and then I of course wanted to half speed it. And first when I EQ'd, pretty much the same thing, kept the high, kept the low. And this is the way it sounds like with the half speed, grow speed. Oh, didn't mean to do that. Yeah, so that's the vibe I got after that. And I added some reverb to give it some presence. RC24, you know, the native instrument one. And gave more of a presence in that feel. And I EQ'd the reverb. That's just to EQ the reverb, because if I don't EQ the reverb, it sounds very muddy like that. So I wanted to leave room for the bass. It's not that crazy much of a difference, but if you see the EQ right here, I just chopped that away just so I could leave room for the 808 and the kick. And then the next sound, I was, you know, this was together. So the next sound, what I wanted to do was add like a bell. And I went to Electra X. Went to DJ Shawty P's his cookup expansion, and was just lay down some bells and some plucks, and then I ran around, came across this drippy pluck, and this is the way it sounds like. Gave it more of that happy, gamey, like I said, the Kyle feel, and this is the way it sounds like. And I just followed the key of the scale. Just, you know, I just plugged them in. And as you can see, I didn't add anything to that. I just like the way it sounds. Sometimes you guys don't need to EQ or anything. Sometimes it just sounds good the way it is. And this is the way it sounds together. Simple. Next, what I did was, don't worry about this patch or you know, demarch, but all I did was I went to his just went to the kit and just clicked initial patch, because I know he has like a sine wave. It's just a basic sine wave. You know, you guys can open silence one and it will give you an initial patch. So it's just a regular sine wave that sounds like this. But let me take off the effects. I know, very ear piercing, but you know, so at first it was, the cutoff was a lot higher. I didn't like that, so I brung it down to here. You know, just to get rid of that more, you know, high frequency. And then with the EQ, what I did was cut off that part. And, you know, made it, you know, less harsh on the ears. Added some reverb to give it space. And EQ some of the reverb, of course. So that's the way it sounds like. And yeah, that's about it. I think those are the only 4 sounds. Yeah, so those were just the 4 sounds. And, you know, there it is. Then moving on to the drums, I added the crash. Typical. I can't even say typical crash, but it's like a FM, you know, kind of like a radio crash. I don't know. It's weird, distorted, if you want to call it that. But yeah, I went there. And for the drums, like I said, I'll be releasing this drum kit soon. A bunch of sounds, a lot more sounds than my last one. And yeah, so that's that. Next, I added this hi-hat. And it's literally a simple hi-hat, just right click, fill each 2 steps, and, you know. And with the hi-hats, I added some reverb and panned some to the right, and just EQ'd, nothing too crazy, fruity reverb. Just put up the sides, and that's it. And lower down the mix. And then, yeah, So that's what I added right there. Next thing I added was the clap. Just to give it the bounce. I just wanted to give it some bounce, some presence. I layered my snares. And when I layered the snares, I made sure to add her EQ'd and add a little reverb. I didn't want it to be, you know, too noticeable. So yeah, so I added that right there. Typical trap snare. And next I added was a perk. I wanted like that click clock, not that click clock, the TikTok type of feel. Like, I don't know, sounded like a clock type of feel. And it just gave it more, just filled up the gaps that the song needed. So that's that. Next I added another perk. It's kind of like a weird perk. I'll solo it alone. And I just filled it up on the little gaps right where it hits the snare. And because one of the parts I take out the snare and then you'll hear it more of, you know, this weird sound, bubble. And if you guys watch One Piece, it literally sounds like the bubble from One Piece. That's literally the sound. And, you know, that's when they got their ship coded, blah, blah, blah. Next, I added this weird glitchy open hat. Give it more space. Like I said, I'm just filling up the gaps at this point with my percussions, and this is the way it all sounds like. And then last but not least, obviously I added the 808 last, just because I wanted to make sure I have enough headroom and to give it that, you know, the jigginess that it needed. And so here's the 808. First I tuned the 808. I'm pretty sure this was already in the C. Detect pitch regions. It's already in the C scale. And yeah, so, and this was the C major song. And I just brung up the 808 and just plugged them in, so this is the way it sounds. Yeah, so I just added a, you know, Travis Scott slide right there, and added this kick roll right here because I didn't want to add a snare roll. Added that 808 roll right there, and added an extra note after the slide on the second half, just to give it some variation. And next, all I did was copied and paste the kick with the 808. And I took out some of the kicks on purpose. I don't know if you hear it right over here. So it, you know, so it's not always too repetitive. So it kind of, it gives the 808 more of a, it gives the 808 some room and gives some variation to the beat. So you're not always hearing the kick bounce with the 808. So I did that right there, and I just like the way that sounded. And yeah, so that's pretty much what I did to the song. I didn't even EQ my 808, which I should do that. I should EQ my 808, which, like I said, I pretty much just finished this beat yesterday, and I just ended up going to sleep. I did it last night. Didn't really have time to really EQ. And the 808, let me just quickly EQ that. give it the punch, and yeah, so that's about it. After that, all I did was structured the beat. Whoops. All I did was structure the beat, and yeah, then came up with this. So yeah, so that's about it with this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this beat. I know it's kind of different, but you know, as long as you guys learn something, not everybody always wants to do a Southside TM88 type of beat. So if you guys enjoyed it, just hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and yeah, other than that, I'm out, guys. Peace. Till the next video.